Frederick Winslow Taylor, he is also called as the father of scientific management. Don't go with your intuitions. You need to go with facts. Should develop a science. When I say science, to know the fact, there should be a complete group harmony in the organization. But when you go with this concept V, what happens is hello everybody, a warm welcome to one and all. I'm Abhilash from the Department of Commerce and Management in Vidhyaashram First Grade College, the Temple of Excellence. Welcome to the next session and a new session where you will understand about Frederick Winslow Taylor. Now, Frederick Winslow Taylor, he is also called as the father of scientific management. Now, you will actually remember him for a long term because from your first PU till you finish your master degree, wherever you go with any kind of a management, you will only hear this person name, that is Frederick Winslow Taylor. Now, I'll tell you how this person actually built the entire scientific management. Though F.W. Taylor is from USA and he learned all the arts of management, and then he introduced those arts into the scientific principles, and he got to know that if you follow scientific management of methodology in a corporate or any of the business, you can actually make more profit and you can improve the workers' efficiency as well as the effectiveness which the workers will show to the business. Now, what exactly he understood by his experience as well as with his experiments. Now, he is a person whom we call as a pioneer of management. Along with him, we have one more person that is called Henry Fayol, which I have already spoken about. The 14 principles of Henry Fayol is very, very important. The same way, the contribution of Frederick Winslow Taylor is also very, very important because these are the questions which you can expect in your final examination. So I want you people to understand Frederick Winslow Taylor according to what he has actually explained the scientific principles and the management, and then he has actually given you something called the scientific techniques, that is techniques of management. We have work study, fatigue study, we have a motion study, and so on. We have so much we have received from Frederick Winslow Taylor. So a quick recall what exactly Frederick Winslow Taylor has done. It is again a repetition of what you have already studied in your second PUC, but there are many students who are from science to commerce who have come. So for you people, in a nutshell, if I need to tell you that this person is a great persona here, he is the father of scientific management. He's what? He's the father of scientific management. So Frederick Winslow Taylor, please understand the spelling and then go for it. Winslow Taylor, known popularly as the father of scientific management, is one of the great contributors of the classical theory of management. So we call that as a classical theory of management. He was the first person to insist on introduction of scientific methods in the management. Earlier, what used to happen is, you have studied Henry Fayol 14 principle, isn't it? Now, Henry Fayol 14 principle, it goes with general management. That means whatever is your intuitions, you are supposed to go with those management. Now, if you are a person who want to start a company, what exactly you're going to do? So first thing is you will divide the work. Now, it is all general managements, right? Second thing is you give them authority and responsibility. Then automatically everything will be in discipline. Then you should know that there is one boss for each employee, unity of command, unity of direction. So if you understand these principles, we call it as a general principles. But what F.W. Taylor says is, don't follow the general principles. Yes, it is actually correct to follow it, but don't follow it more. What is that you need to bring in the management? You need to bring the scientific methodology. You need to go with what exactly the fact is. Now, if you do something, you will get the result, isn't it? So, to get a positive result, what are the things you are supposed to do? So, you go with cause and effect relationship. You go with experimental kind of management. Then you will understand the scientific principles is what he said. So, he's the first person to actually insist to go with scientific methodology in the management so that you can get more profit. When I say you can get more profit, who are the people? That is a company. As well as if you follow these scientific principle, even your employees will actually be very, very happy and they will do the work properly, is what he has explained it. So we'll go with the scientific management. Now he has given us the 5 scientific management. Please understand, don't write whatever you feel like writing it, because it is his principles, we cannot alter it. The first thing what he says is you need to go with science, not rule of thumb, not rule of thumb. Now rule of thumb, don't get confused with Flamingo's rule of thumb, right? Here what happens is you need to know rule of thumb in business, that means intuition. Don't go with your intuitions. You need to go with facts. Don't just think about what is good for you is not the same for somebody else. So that's why you should always go with science. And he is a person who is a pioneer of scientific management. That's the reason he is called a scientific management. That is the father of scientific management. The second one is, he says, harmony, not discord. If there is a peace, if there is a healthy competition, only then there can be a progressive as well as a progression. Then he says cooperative, that is cooperation, not individualism. That means you are supposed to always be cooperative with your colleagues. If they are in difficulty, you are supposed to be there, pitch in and then do the work. The same way when you are in difficulty, even those people should actually come and help you. That is how he actually tells you. Now, if you understand the cooperation, not individualism, harmony, not discord, you can actually link these topics with Henry Fayol 14 principle. What he says is esprit de corps. Though it is a French word, he tried to say that it is, you should be always unite and then you should do the work. That is what these things are, right? And again, harmony, not discord. Discipline is what Henry Fayol have told in his 14 principle. Again, it is the same kind of a thing. Next is maximum. Please understand, this is actually a very unique point which scientific management has, and that is given by F.W. Taylor. That is maximum, not restricted output. This is actually the real scientific management. You need to know that Industrial Revolution, which was started in the early 19th century and the late 18th century. Here what happened was, man was replaced with machine. Now that means what? It is all about the science, scientific management. What really happened was, man used to produce the units, so manufacture the units, but what it used to do is, it's very simple. The outputs were being restricted. That means man, whatever he used to manufacture, he used to limit himself and he used to manufacture in a small quantity. But whereas machines, what happens is 24/7 also the machines will work, but not the human beings. So what happened is introducing the machines and replacing them with the man. So what really happened? Optimum productions was started. That is what this real scientific management is. The last one here is development. What he tries to tell is development of each man to his or her greatest efficiency and prosperity. That means you don't limit yourself. If you really want to grow, then you should grow within the management. That is what he says. Whatever you have the things, you should actually bring it, come up and then do the work. That is what even Henry Fayol have told in his 14 principle, that is called initiative and stability. That is what those two words are the same thing here. That is development of each man to his greatest efficiency and prosperity. Let me just tell you a brief note about Henry Fayol and F.W. Taylor. To be very honest with you, F.W. Taylor always wanted to propose the general management. But what happened was Henry Fayol was the first person to go with general management. So that is the reason F.W. Taylor went with a scientific approach of scientific management. If you understand both the principles, that is the general principles as well as scientific principles, you will come to a conclusion that whatever Henry Fayol told in the 14th principle are the same thing what scientific management F.W. Taylor is is trying to tell you. The only two things which he has told that is the contribution is, one is the science not rule of thumb, and one more is the maximum not restricted output. Apart from these two, whatever the remaining three are there, it is the same what Henry Fayol have told in his 14 principles. So let's check one by one what exactly these are. The first one, science not rule of thumb. What exactly it means? Rule of thumb, I told you, that means intuition. That is whatever you feel like doing it, that is called as intuition. So don't do the work if you feel that you are supposed to do it, because once or twice you will make profitability by approaching those intuitions. But if you need to continue your business for a long run, now for every day you cannot believe or you cannot trust your own intuition. So he says you are supposed to have a scientific fact, that is proper science and a proper methodology. That's why we always say management is a process. It's a process. When you say management is a process, now every day you can't have a proper intuition. That is what he says. So the manager should develop a science. When I say science, to know the fact, the proper procedure, the proper procedures, the process for each element. Whenever he goes with any kind of a thing, he should actually make it of men's work and replace the old rule of thumb. See, it's always a old rule of thumb, is always old method. That is, decisions should be based on facts. You go with a proper fact, what all the things are called your what, why, when, right? All these things should be answered. Should be answered, and not on intuitions. Whatever you felt like, you are not supposed to go with it. You should always go with the cause and effect relationship. What is it? The cause and effect relationship. You are supposed to actually go with those things. So you should answer all the things, what to be done, why it should be done, and when it should be done. All the three things, if you can understand and if you can answer it, then only you need to go with it. So that's why he is advising whom? Not the top level, he's advising the middle level, that is the manager. So whose role is being played more? That is the manager. Should develop a science for each element. When he says each element, that means he covers the entire organization. Of men's work, that means staffing is also he is covering, and replace the old rule of thumb, that is whatever the intuition you are supposed to go. So that is what F.W. Taylor actually wants you people to know. The next one is harmony, not discord. Now what here happens is, there should be a complete group harmony in the organization. This can be achieved through satisfying the needs of group members and eliminating their dissatisfaction and frustration. Now you will understand better what exactly scientific management is all about. Now, whenever any person who is working in any company or organization, if the atmosphere in the organization is not healthy, if he gets, for every small reason or a big reason, he gets frustrated, what really happens is he cannot work, as well as he'll make sure that people should also not work. So that's why what he says is, whenever you people are working in an organization, there should be a manager who need to look and who need to take care of all the employees, and it is his duty to maintain the harmony and not discord. And what he says is, whenever you need to actually work in together, you people should be very transparent to each other. And he is the one who has told in the scientific management, saying that the personal work and the professional work should never come in between. So it should not be like both the work you are carrying in both the places. So for you also, students, whenever you start working, what happens is, don't bring your personal stuff in your professional works, as well as don't drag your professional work when you are having a personal life. So all these things you are supposed to know, and that is what he says, that if and only if you have harmony and you are working in a positive atmosphere, in a positive climate is given to you, only then there can be a prosperity, or else what happens is you will always have dissatisfaction and frustration. Next one he says is clashes or conflicts should be avoided as far as possible, and proper coordination. See here, coordination should be established among the different groups and department. Usually we have too many groups, like we have a say HRM, human resource management, then we have marketing, right? We have marketing, and then we have finance. All these groups are very, very important. So but still what happens is the conflict and clashes will happen within a department. But still, what is that we should maintain? We need to maintain a proper coordination. See, life is beautiful only if you want it to be. So that is what scientific management always says, that if you feel everything is going good, only then you can keep everything in a harmony. But if you feel that something is going to happen which is wrong, or negative vibes, everything, and then it will disturb the entire atmosphere. That's why you should always be in harmony and not in discord. So the next one we have is cooperation, not individualism. Understand this here. Cooperation, not individualism, says that whenever you have peace with your group, you are working together, there should be a cooperation. But if you feel that no, only I need to prosper, I don't think about the group, you should always be like this. See, always replace the word me with the word we, right? So whenever you go with it's just me, then what happens is you can actually come up in life, but not more. But when you go with this concept we, what happens is you will have every time the stability. The reason being, it's only me means if you fail, even nobody is there to actually make you come up. But if you go with we, even if you slide a little, there are few people who gonna come and take you to the high. That means you should always work together. That is what he says. For achieving the objectives of organization, there should be cooperation. There should be what? Cooperation between the management and workers. Management and workers. See, just because a beautiful management you have, that doesn't mean you'll get a profit. Just because you have proper workers, it's not just the same. You should have both the thing. That is, management should also be very good. The workers are also should be very good. Only then both of you actually can run the show very well. Or else what happens is, importance should be given to cooperative efforts and not individual efforts. That means you should not just think about the management or not just think about workers. You should think about both of them, and both of them should actually work together for each prosperity as well as their salary. So this is what they need to actually think. Next one we have is maximum, not restricted output. Now you need to go to the back days, that is the Industrial Revolution. Now in the Industrial Revolution, what really happened is, you need to know that the Industrial Revolution has replaced human with machines. The reason being is optimum production. Now you need to know that if you go with more production, the cost per unit will decrease. When cost per unit will decrease, whenever you sell any of the product, profit you can earn is more. So the formula says the same. What exactly it is? Total cost plus profit is equal to selling price. So this is what the formula says. Total cost plus profit is equal to selling price. So we have a formula called as C plus P is equal to SP. So cost plus profit is equal to selling price. So here I have given you something called total cost. Now total costs are of two types. Now what is total cost? Cost to manufacture a product, that is called total cost. Say example, pen. The cost of this pen to manufacture it, you are actually incurring say 1,000 rupees, right? But what exactly the cost will be is, we have two type of cost, that is one is variable cost, one more is fixed cost. So we have what? Variable cost and fixed cost. When we talk about variable cost, we could tell that a cost which is really varying, that is it will vary from every second to every day or even like that. That means there is a variation in the cost. Now we consider variable cost as total variable cost. I'll tell you what exactly total variable cost is. Here we will consider total fixed cost. Now fixed cost means a cost which will not change. Variable cost is a cost which will change. Example, raw material. Today probably the raw material of 1 kg raw material of iron rod or whatever the raw material, you can actually go with it. It's say 100 rupees. Tomorrow it will be 105 or it can be 95 or 96. That means there is a variation. So that's why we call that as a variable cost. Now variable costs are of two types. Total fixed cost also will have two types. So total variable costs have two types. That is, we have 100% variable cost. That means 100% whatever happens, it will change. The same way we have total fixed cost, 100% fixed cost. That means whatever happens, there are costs which is fixed. But there are two other things, that is semi-variable cost and semi-fixed cost. Semi-variable and semi-fixed. The funda about these things are, if you add both, you should get 100%. What is that you should get? You should get 100%. Now, example, if 20% is semi-variable, that means 80% is semi-fixed. That is what the concept is. Now, I'll not go with more of calculation. I'll just tell you what exactly it is. The more and more if we start manufacturing, right? Now, if it is our own company, our own godown, our own, everything is our own. What happens is, fixed costs, you will actually cancel it. You will not calculate. For any kind of a thing, whenever you start manufacturing things, please don't calculate fixed cost, okay? Once if the fixed cost is given, it is all enough. You will not go with more and more. You will not go with a fixed cost. So fixed cost is paid once. But variable cost, whenever you go with any production, you are supposed to go with variable cost. Now, example, I told you about the pen, that is 1000 rupees. Now, this 1000 rupees is divided. Now, there are a few costs which is variable cost. Say, example, it is 600 rupees is a variable cost and 400 rupees was a fixed cost. Now, what is the selling price? Understand. 1000 is the total cost plus, let's make profit of 200 rupees. So this is profit is equal to selling price. What really happened? 1200 rupees. Now that is called selling price. Now for a long term, I'll tell you how much one pen will actually cost them. Now the more they start manufacturing this pen, right? Bulk in order, like lakhs together, because of this pandemic, everybody are now using the smart pens, isn't it? So this pandemic, you have smart board, you have, and a smart pen you have, and everything is all the same. Now everybody, they need this because there is a demand for this particular pen as well as this stationaries of this. Now understand the logic here. Once if you stop calculating your fixed cost, total fixed cost, whatever is there, you don't calculate it because you go with what? Maximum, not restricted output. If a machine can manufacture this, now fixed cost is given only one time. Later what happens is the total cost and the profit, just understand. Your total cost will only be 600 rupees after a certain time, right? Plus, what is it? Plus, now understand. The selling price is all about yours, 1200. For each and every product sold, you will actually make a profit of how much? 600 rupees. Now, this is what the logic behind it. Why? Because your total cost is there, right? The more and more you start manufacturing the product without restricting it, your total cost will become less. That is what the F.W. Taylor always wanted to tell other people. So instead of giving restricted output, the workers should be asked to give maximum output. What does that worker should do? You don't give them target, you make them work more. As output increases, the cost per unit will decrease. Now understand, what was the cost per unit? 1000 rupees. because you started manufacturing more and more. Now what was the cost? 600 rupees. And what is the profit? You get more profit. Now understand here, decreases and productivity will improve. And productivity will increase. What really happens is you will start making more profit. That is what he wanted to explain. So always understand, never restrict production if you are starting any manufacturing company. Next one we have is development of each man to his greatest efficiency and prosperity. What really happens is the worker should be scientifically selected. The worker should be scientifically selected, properly trained and developed to their maximum potential. That's why whenever you join any of the company, before giving you the task, they'll actually go for a proper training. That is what happens in scientific management as well. This will not only increase workers' efficiency, but also their wages and prosperity. So the more you get training and more efficiency you are showing in the work, that is what? That is actually an add-on to your career, because you will be getting more salary and more positions very fast. Prosperity to workers will bring prosperity to the employers. So that is what it is. See, it's always the give and take policy. I told you, it's not just about me. It's always about we, right? That is what it is. The more and more the employees are getting trained and they are working, so it is what? It is helping the employees, but also it is actually helping the employer. The reason is give and take policy. The more and more the work they do, the employer will also get more and more job done. So that is what the best thing is. So these are the things which you people need to know. If you have any doubt regarding FW Taylor, please call us. We are always there to help you. Thank you so much. I'll see you when I see you.